How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, January 28th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite performances and matchups from yesterday, Thursday, January 27th. Taking a look at where we are in the first month of the 2022 calendar year, the college basketball is entering the second half of its season as some teams are still undefeated within their conference schedules. In the NFL, there are still 4 teams left competing for Super Bowl 56 as the AFC and NFC championship games will be played on Sunday, which is of course a couple of days from now. The NBA is seeing teams play in its second half of its season as the all-star starters have officially been named in the Eastern and Western conferences. Not to mention that in soccer, a bunch of teams are trying to qualify for the World Cup. Not to mention that the African Cup of Nations, it has 8 teams left that are competing for its title. It will resume tomorrow. With that said, starting off with the college basketball performances from last night, starting with the second-ranked team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs hosted the unranked Loyola Marymount Lions. Gonzaga would beat LMU 89-55. They won this matchup by 34 after outscoring LMU by 17 in the first half and by 17 in the second half as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown second-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs were led in scoring by their freshman center Chet Holmgren out of Minnesota. Holmgren finished with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks. All of this in 30 minutes as he shot 7 for 8 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Gonzaga Bulldogs are now 16-2. They are now 5-0 in the West Coast Conference. They are the only team that is undefeated, meaning that they have the best record in their conference. With this loss, the unranked LMU Lions are now 9-9. They are now 2-4 in the conference. Out of all of the teams that have won a game in the West Coast Conference, the LMU Lions have the worst record out of all of them. Looking at the 6th-ranked team in the nation, the Purdue Boilermakers went to Iowa City to face off against the unranked Iowa Hawkeyes. Purdue would beat Iowa 83-73. They won this matchup by 10 after outscoring Iowa by 15 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 6th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Isaiah Thompson, out of Indiana. Their 6'1" guard finished with 18 points in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 8 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 6th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are 17-3. They are 6-3 in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Iowa Hawkeyes are 14-6. They are now 4-5 in the Big Ten. Looking at the 7th-ranked team in the nation, the UCLA Bruins would host the UC Berkeley, the Cal Golden Bears. The Bruins won this matchup by 24 after they outscored Cal by 10 in the first half, or by 10 in the second half. They outscored Cal by 14 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup in Pauley Pavilion, the 7th-ranked Bruins were led in scoring by their starting guard, Jaime Jaquez Jr. He finished with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, and he made one of his 2 free throw attempts. With this win, the 7th-ranked UCLA Bruins are now 15-2. They are 7-1 in the Pac-12. They currently hold the best record in the conference as they have one more win than Arizona, the other one-loss team in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Cal Golden Bears are now 9-11. They are 2-7 in the Pac-12. Taking a look at the 11th-ranked team in the nation, the Wisconsin Badgers would face off against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Wisconsin won this matchup 73-65. They won this matchup by 8 after outscoring Nebraska by 8 in the first half. The 11th-ranked Badgers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Brad Davison out of Minnesota. Davison finished with 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 14 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the 11th ranked Wisconsin Badgers are 16-3. They are 7-2 in the Big Ten. They are tied with Illinois right now for the best record in the Big Ten, as they are one of 4 two-loss teams in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Nebraska Cornhuskers are 6-14. They are 0-9 in the Big Ten. They are the only winless team so far, and as a result, they have the worst record in the Big Ten. Looking at the 15th ranked team in the nation, the USC Trojans hosted the unranked Stanford Cardinal. Stanford would beat USC 64-61. They won this matchup by 3 after outscoring USC by 9 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 15th ranked Trojans were led in scoring by their starting guard, Drew Peterson. He finished with 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals, all in 36 minutes. He shot 4 for 11 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Stanford Cardinal were led in scoring by their starting forward, Jaden Dallaire, out of Connecticut. He would go on to finish with 14 points in 21 minutes. He shot 6 for 15 from the field and 2 for 3 from 3. With this win, the unranked Stanford Cardinal are 12-6. They are 5-3 in the Pac-12. With this loss, the 15th ranked USC Trojans are now 17-3. They are now 7-3 in the Pac-12. Taking a look at the 16th ranked team in the nation, the lowest ranked team that played yesterday, the Ohio State Buckeyes would go to Minnesota to face off against the unranked Golden Gophers. Ohio State would beat Minnesota 75-64. They won this matchup by 11 after outscoring Minnesota by 9 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 16th ranked Buckeyes were led in scoring by their starting forward, E.J. Liddell. He finished with 23 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes. He would go on to shoot 9 for 14 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 16th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are now 13-4. They are now 6-2 in the Big Ten. With this loss, the unranked Minnesota Golden Gophers are 11-6. They are now 2-6 in the Big Ten. That is what college basketball is looking like following yesterday's games. And then, of course, looking out to what's going on today, there's not any ranked matchups. But, of course, Harvard's going to play Penn on ESPNU. That'll be a very interesting basketball game to watch. Taking a look at what's going on with basketball, starting off with both primetime games from yesterday. Starting off in Philadelphia, the 76ers hosted the Los Angeles Lakers. The Philadelphia 76ers would beat the Lakers 105-87. They won this matchup by 18 after outscoring the Lakers by 10 in the first quarter and by 14 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward out of Kentucky, Anthony Davis. Davis finished with 31 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, and 4 blocks, all in 34 minutes. He shot 14 for 21 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their goated starting point guard, Russell Westbrook, finished with 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 6 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field and 2 for 3 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Joel Embiid. Embiid finished with 26 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field and 8 for 13 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Tobias Harris, finished with 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals, all in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 15 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. Their starting point guard, Tyrese Maxey, finished with 14 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 5 for 14 from the field and 2 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 29-19. They are tied with the Nets for the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference. They have won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 2 games behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. With this loss, the Los Angeles Lakers are now 24-25. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit half a game behind the 8th seed Minnesota Timberwolves outside of the playoff picture out west. Jumping out west to San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Warriors would beat the Timberwolves 124 to 115. They won this matchup by 9 after outscoring Minnesota by 18 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, the former number 1 overall pick. He would finish with 31 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 12 for 22 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and he shot 5 for 6 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward out of Georgia, Anthony Edwards, finished with 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field, 2 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard out of Davidson, Steph Curry. Curry finished with 29 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 10 for 20 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Klay Thompson, finished with 23 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists in 27 minutes. Thompson shot 9 for 16 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 36-13. That is the second best record in the Western Conference and the second best record in the NBA for that matter. They are one of 2 teams that have won at least 70% of their games, the other one being the Suns. The Warriors have won their last 4 games. That is the second longest winning streak in the Western Conference behind the Phoenix Suns. They sit 3 games behind the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. With this loss, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 24-24. That is the 8th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 4 of their last 10, and they now sit 14.5 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns out west. That is what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's 2 matchups. Taking a look at what's going on today, because it is Friday, the primetime matchups are going to be on ESPN. At 7:30, the Charlotte Hornets are going to host the Los Angeles Lakers. The Hornets hold the 5th best record in the East. They currently sit 4.5 games behind the Heat. The LA Lakers are currently holding on to the 9th best record in the West as they sit half a game behind the 8th seed Minnesota Timberwolves and the 7th seed LA Clippers for that matter as well. And right after that, the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champs who are holding on to the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference, are going to host the New York Knicks, who come into this matchup holding the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference right now. And then taking a look at the games that aren't on primetime, at 7 o'clock, the Orlando Magic, who are the only team in the NBA that still have a single-digit amount of wins, are going to host the Detroit Pistons, who hold the 2nd worst record in basketball, so they have a chance to hit their 10th win. At 7 at the same time, the Atlanta Hawks are going to host the Boston Celtics in the State Farm Arena. At 8 o'clock, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to host the Denver Nuggets in the Smoothie King Center. The Miami Heat are going to host the LA Clippers in the FTX Arena. The Houston Rockets are going to host the Portland Trailblazers in the Toyota Center. The Memphis Grizzlies are going to host the Utah Jazz in the FedEx Forum. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to host the Indiana Pacers in the Paycom Center. At 8:30, the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the Chicago Bulls at the AT&T Center. And then at 9, the Phoenix Suns are going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Suns being the only team in the NBA that still have a single-digit amount of losses through 47 games. Taking a look at what's going on in the world of soccer, looking at yesterday's FIFA qualifying matchups for the World Cup, Japan will go on to beat China 2-0 as it will get its first penalty kick from Yuya Osako. And then with Junya Ito, they will go on to score 2. With this win, Japan now sits 2nd in the Asian Cup standings for the FIFA World Cup qualifying for their specific group. They currently sit behind Saudi Arabia. With this loss, China sits 2nd from the bottom, right above Vietnam. That's the big matchup from overseas. Not to mention that South Korea was able to beat Lebanon 1-0. With this win, South Korea now sits 2nd in their group for qualifying. Taking a look at what went on in South America, Argentina was able to beat Chile 2-1. Argentina struck first, their first goal coming from their elite forward, Angel Di Maria. Then Chile would tie it up in the 20th minute from Ben Bereton. And then Argentina would take the goal again from their young elite striker, Lautaro Martinez. With this win, Argentina sits second behind Brazil in their FIFA World Cup qualifying table bracket. Staying within that bracket itself, Brazil would draw with Ecuador as its lone goal came from its Real Madrid midfielder Casemiro, as both teams picked up a red. With this draw, Brazil sits on top, 4 points ahead of second place Argentina. Looks as though they are more than likely a shoe-in for a very solid spot at the World Cup. Uruguay was able to beat Paraguay 1-0 as its lone goal came from its elite striker Luis Suarez. With this win, Uruguay now sits fourth in the South American standings for FIFA World Cup qualifying. They sit 5 points behind Ecuador and 2 points behind Colombia and Peru. So this is a very big win for Uruguay. Taking a look at what went on in the United States, the U.S. was able to beat El Salvador 1-0 as its lone goal came in the 52nd minute from Anthony Robinson. With this win, U.S. sits second in CONCACAF standings right behind Canada. Canada was able to beat Honduras 2-0. Its first goal coming off of an own goal from Honduras in the 10th minute, and then Jonathan David's 73rd minute goal would make it 2-0. They sit 1 point ahead of the U.S. And then sitting third in that group is Mexico, who just came off of a 2-1 win against Jamaica. Jamaica would draw a red card in the first half, but then would open the second half with a 50th minute goal from Daniel Johnson. Mexico has scored 2 goals in a 3-minute span from Henry Martin and Alexis Vega, and starting in the 81st minute. With this win, Mexico now sits third in the table, and they still need to win their games to finish out leading up to the World Cup. But right now, they are in very good standing. Taking a look at what's going on today now in this world of soccer, as these teams are still competing for World Cup standing. Colombia is going to face off against Peru, and Venezuela is going to face off against Bolivia. Those are the only 2 nations facing off. And we are also preparing to get into yet another weekend of great soccer, and I can't wait to navigate it with you one day at a time. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 17 minutes of this piece. As we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time, I'm James Sims. This is The Elite. I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures and numbers that I needed for this episode, because I wouldn't do it without them. I do apologize if I butchered any of the names, because I really do plan on getting them all right eventually. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well. And I have an elite profile immediately after this. And with that said, I want to thank everyone once again. I'll catch you all with a piece tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my piece. Peace out.